Hello everyone. It is snowing outside today. Amazon. Flash briefing.
Jamie, getting your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. President Biden is meeting Democratic and Republican congressional leaders to talk about priorities for the rest of the year. Yesterday, he asked Congress to step in and prevent a potential freight rail strike that could start next week. It would affect about a third of goods shipped across the country. Congress also has until December 16th to pass a government funding bill. Otherwise, the federal government will partially shut down. After the meeting, Biden will travel to Bay City, Michigan to talk about manufacturing in the U.S. NPR's Deepa Shivaram reports.
Biden will visit a new manufacturing facility, SK Siltron, which makes semiconductor wafers that are used in electric vehicles. The new $300 million expansion is part of what the White House calls a, quote, manufacturing boom. Biden will also discuss the success of Democratic candidates in Michigan in the midterm elections, including the re-election of Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Democrats taking control of the state legislature. Deepa Shivaram, NPR News, Washington.
Today, a Senate panel will investigate the proposed merger of two grocery store chains. Kroger wants to buy Albertsons. This would affect stores such as Safeway and Harris Teeter. Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar is concerned. She says the merger could mean stores are closed in communities that desperately need grocery stores.
These stores have already come forward and said, we are directly competing with each other, so we would have to divest at least 375 stores. That means sell them off. This was tried before by Albertson, and what happened was the company they sold them to, of the 150 stores, 100 of them were actually closed for good. 8,000 people were laid off.
She spoke to NPR's Morning Edition. NATO foreign ministers are meeting in Romania to talk about supporting Ukraine through the upcoming winter. Ukraine's foreign minister is pleading for more weapons to fight Russian forces. Terry Schultz reports he is also asking for help for Ukraine's damaged energy infrastructure.
NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg is urging allies to increase their support for Ukraine as it suffers the brutality of Russia's strikes on the country's infrastructure. Stoltenberg calls this the greatest security crisis in a generation, reminding NATO governments that while they may be facing financial difficulties, Ukraine is paying in lives lost.
Our message from Bucharest is that NATO will continue to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. We will not back down.
Allies are expected to offer Ukraine not only weapons, but also non-lethal support, including electricity generators, winter gear, and medical supplies.
Give you all these weapons.
Secretary
we
of
don't
State
know where they
Antony
actually
Blinken is
wind up.
pledging substantial aid for Ukraine's energy grid. For NPR News, I'm Terry Schultz in Brussels.
Secretary of State Blinken says that U.S.
all them
aid
fighters
is worth
that come over to help
$53
fight, they
million.
probably went home with weapons.
On Wall Street, stocks are lower. The Dow
just
Jones
making
Industrial
exchange.
Average is
They weren't
down
fighting.
28 points. This is NPR News. Officials in Houston have lifted their boil water alert. That had been in effect since Sunday after a power outage at a water treatment plant. Water pressure dropped, and Houston officials told about 2 million people to boil their tap water for safety. That order has now been rescinded. Houston schools have been forced to close for 2 days. Officials in northwestern Minnesota say emergency teams rescued about 200 fishermen yesterday. They were marooned after a huge sheet of ice broke away from the shore on Upper Red Lake. From Minnesota Public Radio, Matthew Holding Eagle III has more.
The ice chunk, hundreds of yards long, broke free in the late morning, stranding the anglers for several hours. Some were forced to use a makeshift ice bridge to reach land. Shane Youngbauer, a local guide, helped with the rescue.
Lake of the Woods County came down with 3 airboats. We got actually everybody off the lake by four-wheeler. We did find a path to bridge. We got bridge across to get everybody's gear back.
Youngbauer said some of the anglers were as far as 3 miles out from land. The Beltrami County Sheriff's Department reported no injuries.
Look, when there's no injuries, the news is over. Move on.
In Curtis Falls, Minnesota.
The U.S. Geological Survey says the eruption continues on Hawaii's Mauna Loa volcano, also known as Mokuāwea. Hawaii state officials say some lava is flowing out of the summit, but it doesn't threaten any communities. The officials still open 2 shelters as a precaution. No evacuations have yet been ordered. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News in Washington.
Hey, it's Ramtin Arablouei from NPR's Throughline.
Skip.
In NASA news,
We get NASA
as NASA
today.
plans for
All
long-term
right.
human exploration of the moon under Artemis, new technologies are required to meet the unique challenges
Are
of
they
living and
required?
working on another
Are they
world.
really? I don't know.
SpaceX's 26th commercial resupply mission for NASA is on its way to the
Remember, they
International
went to the
Space
moon with
Station.
limited technology. They even got footage of it. So
NASA will host a news conference at 5 p.m. EST Monday, November 28th, from the agency's Johnson Space Center in Houston to discuss the status of the uncrewed Artemis
Houston,
I
we
flight
have a
test
problem.
as the
We got
Orion
all these new
spacecraft reaches
technologies.
the midpoint
Nobody's
of
been
its
to the
moon
moon
mission
again.
and its farthest distance from Earth at nearly 270,000 miles away. NASA has selected Rocket Lab USA Incorporated of Long Beach, California, to provide the launch service for the agency's time-resolved observations of precipitation structure and storm intensity with a constellation of smallsats, tropics, mission, as part of the agency's venture class acquisition
the
of
mission
dedicated
name.
and rideshare, VADR, launch services contract. NASA and
Okay, so they got
SpaceX
a
now are
contract
targeting 2:20 p.m.
to do the
EST
launches.
Saturday, November
All right.
26th,
That
to
could've
launch
been
the
summed up
company's
way
26th commercial
easier.
resupply mission to the International Space Station. In weather. In Seattle, there's a winter weather advisory in effect Tuesday, November 29th,
yes, there is.
1 p.m. to Wednesday, November 30th, 10 a.m. The current weather is 34
The
degrees
current
Fahrenheit
weather
with
is
snow.
we be snowing.
Today's forecast has snowy, rainy weather, with a high of
wrong way.
37 and a low of 35 degrees. From NASA.
Yep.
As NASA plans for long-term human exploration of the moon under Artemis, new technologies are required to meet the unique challenges of living and working on another
Looks
world.
flaky out there. Poor Tin Man.
SpaceX's 26th commercial resupply mission is on its way to the International Space Station.
Okay, Amazon. Off.
NASA will host a news
Amazon.
conference at...
Off. Amazon. Give us a joke.
Why did the gamer quit playing Call of Duty? 'Cause duty called.
Well, that stinks. Literally. Okay. Alright, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Peace.